The return of NASCAR is back Sunday, 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. And look who's joining us now. Points leader Kevin Harvick. Kevin, good morning. Thanks so much for being with us. It is great to have you here. It is great to have racing back. I think we're all looking forward to it this weekend. If people don't know, NASCAR actually has one of the shortest off seasons. That plus this COVID break has sort of doubled that time. I have to ask, how you been keeping busy? How you staying busy during quarantine?
Yeah, well, I've got a 2-year-old and a 7-year-old, so it's been pretty crazy around the house and trying to keep everybody busy, keep up with myself and all the things that we've been trying to do throughout the break with our sponsors. And social media has changed because that's really the point of contact that you have with everybody, doing Zoom calls and Skype calls and all the things that we've been trying to do on this side of the world. So it's been very busy. A lot has changed in the world, and for us, we're excited to get back to the racetrack this weekend and really do what we do, and that's drive cars around the racetrack and finally bring some live sports back to everybody to watch on the television.
Kevin, pre-quarantine, pre-COVID, disruption, there were, to me, two overwhelming stories from the first few races of the NASCAR season. One was Joey Logano, who has won 2 of the 4 races, and the other was you, the only driver to have top 10 finishes, I believe, in all 4 races, which is why you're at the top of the point standings, just barely ahead of Joey. What had been the key to your early season success, and how much do you think, if at all, the break disrupts that?
Well, the break definitely disrupts that because the way that we're going to go back racing is going to be much different than what we did before, with no practice, no qualifying. You have to do a lot of planning before the race, and so different racetracks that we're going to than what we had planned on going to. So there's a lot of things that are different with less people at the racetrack and how things function. But, I think for us, this is our 7th year together as a team. Our Busch Light Ford and Stewart-Haas Racing have done a great job of really building that chemistry through the years. So our communication is going to be key in this, just because of the fact that you're going to have to make a lot of different adjustments on your car and be ready for things that you didn't expect, because things are going to go wrong. Things are going to be different. So you're going to have to really communicate with each other. So it's going to be a situation to where experience, in my opinion, is going to be key. There are going to be weekends where things are just not going to go well, and you're going to have to deal with them and try to make something out of the weekend. And I think that's what made the beginning of our season good is, we were consistent. We led laps, we ran up front, and, got solid finishes out of the beginning of the year.
Kevin, this race on Sunday feels like a unique opportunity for NASCAR because, of course, you've got the NASCAR fans who are very excited, but you guys are also on the live sports stage all by yourself. There's no baseball, there's no basketball. It's just you guys. How do you view this opportunity to bring more people to the sport, or just being on the stage with NASCAR being all the focus of the live sports world?
Well, I've learned a lot about iRacing, and I'm really excited that I get to go out of my garage this weekend and drive to the racetrack and not sit in the simulator with my 7-year-old pounding me on the shoulder, asking me where I'm running. So, I think that there's a huge responsibility for us this weekend, just because of the fact that, we are the first really big sport to put, a fair amount of people in one spot and try to put on an event. And I think as you look at that, we also have a great opportunity to expose our sport to people who haven't necessarily watched NASCAR in the last several years, or maybe never. And really, that's what we experienced when we started airing these iRacing events on television. Immediately, we had 250,000 fans that had never even watched a NASCAR race, but were on the iRacing platform. This is a very similar situation to that, but in a much bigger fashion than what we had with the iRacing stuff. So it's a great opportunity for our sport, a lot of responsibility for our sport to do what we're doing this weekend, and I think it's something that everybody's ready for.
Kevin, you talked about the adjustment that you guys are going to have to make after being out of racing now for 8 weeks or thereabouts. The tracks, no pre-racing, no qualifying, no fans in the stand. You won Darlington back in 2014. How much of that experience can you take with you, and is it going to be enough heading into this weekend?
Well, Darlington's a very unique racetrack. It's got a very long history in our sport and means a lot to our sport. And I think for all the competitors, I think that the part of being in the race car and everybody at the racetrack will come back fairly quick. I think that the unknown in all of this is, it's been a long time since we've raced in the middle of the day at Darlington itself. It's a very finicky racetrack when it comes to temperature. Temperature makes a big difference in how the cars drive. It's going to be a really hot weekend this weekend. So, the car is just not going to feel good. And, being in the car and then being out of the car for 8 weeks is something that your body will definitely have to adjust to. You'll have to take care of yourself because we're going to run, 7 or 8 races over the next few weeks here. So it's going to be, a different situation that you definitely are going to have to stay hydrated. Hydration is the biggest thing for us because inside the car, it's probably going to be, 120, 125 degrees, and you're going to sit in there for almost 4 hours. So it's definitely a situation to where, being out of the car and being into the car definitely takes a toll on you because you just aren't used to that heat. Usually we have heat training and things that go along with the exercise and things that you do during the week to get used to that heat. But this weekend, you're just going to jump right in and you're going to have to suck it up a little bit and pay attention to what you're doing and stay focused because you're not used to that heat.
Kevin, you led perfectly into my question, which is I think for people that don't follow the sport, they underestimate the level of different type, but the level of athleticism one needs to have be a NASCAR driver as far as endurance, as far as cardiovascular training, things like that you guys are able to do to withstand 4, 5, at times 6 hours in the car you're talking about in the heat. We now obviously have all been in a world where you can't do your regular training. You're also in a world where you can't do the regular preparation for a race. And I think from Sunday, you have 4 races, NASCAR does, in the following 11 days. So what type of gauntlet are the drivers, about to go into? And for you, how much concern as far as what your body is prepared to handle after an unprecedented layoff?
Well, I think for me, I've been trying to keep up with it. And a lot of that is trying to, target my heart rate, as to what it is in the car. So, for me, the heart rate is going to be it's going to average somewhere between 135 to 145. It just depends on how many cautions that you have during the race and how hot it is outside. So it's definitely something to where, I feel like I have a good idea of where I need to, to train at. And I think that the biggest thing is you're going to be sore after the first race. Your shoulders and neck and things are going to be sore because they just haven't been tucked into those seat belts so tight, for 3 or 4 hours in a few weeks. And I think once we get through the first couple races, I think a lot of that'll, kind of subside. But it's definitely something that you have to keep up with on the hydration side. That's really the main thing that you have to keep up with right now because the first race is hot. I see the second race, it looks like the weather's going to be much cooler. And the third race is 600 miles. So at Charlotte. So that's definitely something that I think all of us will do in different ways. For me, I feel like I have a good system of how I keep up with it, and everybody's got a little different method.
Kevin, just so you know, my mom's heart rate is also 145 when I'm driving, so I totally understand what you're saying. But no. All right, let's take a slight left turn, pun fully intended. I want to ask you a couple of quick hitters that I'm very curious about. Here we go. Number 1, which rule of the road for you is probably the hardest for you to abide by?
Well, I don't have many problems following the rules, but I hate tailgaters. I want to brake check you instantly. I would love to just one day just brake check somebody and put their hood right in the windshield.
Perfectly legal, I'm sure. Have you ever had to change your own tire? And if so, how fast can you do it?
Oh, I did have to change my own tire. We were on our way back from Washington State from a race, and the tire blew out about 4 a.m. And it was my friend and I, because my dad used to make us drive. It's been a long time, but yeah, I have had to do that before, and it probably took a good hour.
Just to make it feel like Sunday, do you just run around real fast and change things as quickly as possible? Just to get the feel back? Probably not. All right, last question. Here we go, Kevin. True or false? Go ahead.
Honestly, every time we get a new vehicle, we take everything out of the back of the car to make sure that we understand how to change the tire, because it has become increasingly difficult to actually change a tire on a street car with all the gadgets that they have in the trunk.
That's
so
true.
If you haven't done that, you might just want to pull it out one day because it's not easy.
Hello, AAA. All right, last question. True or false, Days of Thunder, greatest racing movie ever made? It's true, but I'll let you decide.
Yeah, it was a great movie, but I would say that my favorite racing movie is probably Six Pack with Kenny Rogers. Most people probably have never seen that movie, but
Nice.
it's probably my favorite racing movie.
I'll give it to you. I'd like 6 Cold Trickle lines, but if that's your movie, that's your movie. Kevin Harvick, thank you so much for playing, for hanging out with us. We wish you all the best of luck this weekend. Can't wait to talk to you, see how it all goes. We'll be tuned in this weekend, only on Fox, 3:30 Eastern on Sunday, the return of NASCAR. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.